Hello and welcome to Inside News. I'm Dale Matthews and I'm joined by Mike Jones and Bernie Sanders, something like that. Mike?
Yes. Hello, Dale, and hello, Bernie.
Right.
Oh,
well, now local Bernie.
We're going to visit him here in a few minutes.
Yeah. Local Bernie Sanders supporters got together here in Medford recently, and there were people from Grants Pass there, Josephine County, and we thought it would be interesting for you to see, not that you're going to vote for Bernie Sanders or for anybody like that, or not that you're choosing any particular political party if you watch the show, is what I'm trying to say. But it is kind of interesting, the kind of things that he is saying. And
way to skate through there, Dale.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting, the things that he is saying and his local supporters are saying, and perhaps we can learn a little bit about someone for whom you're going to vote or not vote for. Mike, rescue me, please.
Yes. Well, and essentially, if you know anything about Bernie Sanders, you're not going to see anything new here. I mean, this is the same stuff. But I think, I have, a perspective that comes from a few feet to the right of Bernie. And so I don't know. This is interesting stuff. Viken Nikodian went over and shot some of this, and Lori Johansson was there. And it's interesting to see what these people are saying, and some of their rationales and different way of thinking. I think in a particular way, and after a while we sort of get set in our ways where we look at the world through the lens of our own experience and of our own prejudices, as it were. And so it's entirely possible that we don't adequately understand that different people think differently than we do. And so here's an illustration of that, or of your own views. Who knows?
Raise your other hand in the air if you've got the burn. Look at that. Look at that. Folks, thanks for showing up here today. Just getting started. And my wife, Brenda, is helping to facilitate this. Let me tell you briefly that, there's the table showing up. I believe we're going to really shortly have some material on that table for you. But we're here today, and I want to introduce Brenda to tell you why we're here today. I want to start by acknowledging just two people who drove through a snowstorm this morning, and some of you may have met before. Ish and Jennifer, put your hands up for us, would you please? You guys know the story of Ish and Jennifer. They stood up to Walmart in Klamath Falls, Oregon, went on strike, and by God, there for $15. We're going to hear from them in just a few minutes. So, okay, gather in, and so we'll get started. I'd like to introduce to you my wife, Brenda Gould. She's got the bird. Brenda.
I cannot help but, it just seems like if you've got the burn, I understand what it means, but you can't help but think that, perhaps they ought to see a doctor when they're done at the rally here.
There's a topical for that.
Yes, there probably is. Now, if you're watching here just about now, you're about to see why it's important to become familiar with your equipment before you go out and try to use it for an event such as this. So here we go.
All right. I got hold button. Can you hear me now? No.
Louder.
Well, I can talk louder, but is this my voice or is this that? This is working? Yay. All right, is it working now? I mean, I can eat it. All right, welcome. Do you have the burn? Burning.
Yes, and I guess that was the end of that particular clip. But there's no time to edit these into some sort of presentation that would be presentable.
Well, in case people don't realize, we're not the CBS Evening News.
Yeah, but listen, I think it was great that somebody went over there and shot this stuff and gave it to us, and here we are playing it tonight.
Yes,
that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
So, I mean, I hate to be, a stereotyper, but this seems like the stereotypical crowd that you might see at a Bernie Sanders.
It does look that way, doesn't it?
Yes.
I noticed that. Yes.
Especially in this part of the country where, you're going to get, Ashland/Portland type people at an event such as that. Anyway, here is the next clip that was shot there, and let's just take a look at that.
We're on time, and I'm wondering if another facilitator is in the midst. I think I saw Mel somewhere. Where is Mel? Is that my imagination? Okay.
Bernie! Underfunded schools! Filling prisons! Are screaming! Enough is enough!
Hey!
Yeah!
All right. Nice signs, though. I have to say that, somebody had some stencils and made some signs there, and the letters are properly set on them, and they're nicely done. That was a good job. I've seen a lot of really funky political rally signs that where they started with an idea and ran out of room and down the side or something.
Well, definitely they're not factory made.
But
but on the other hand, they're not made by union workers.
You know what? Okay. Factory made, I think that cheapens it a little bit. I think
I agree.
When people put their own time and effort, you can get a level of, belief as to, how dedicated these people are, because there are some rallies where they just pass out signs. Everybody has the same sign. Well, somebody just handed that to you. You didn't make that. You didn't buy that. You didn't put it together yourself. Somebody handed it to you to, try to swing opinion in a particular direction. So
if there are, I think in Iowa and New Hampshire and such places, there are people who would pay big bucks to make it look as if it's a grassroots effort with handmade signs and with people who are out there with this kind of megaphone thing.
Yeah, that could be. That'd be a lot of work. I mean, I understand, and the reason why they do it the other way is expense, cost.
Yes.
Unless you get 1,000 people to get together and start mass producing, different types of signs that are homemade type things. But that would cost a lot of money unless you can get them to volunteer and donate the materials and all that kind of stuff.
And then it's closer to grassroots.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, I guess, because you have to have the inclination to do that. And that, I think, is what the difference is between grassroots and AstroTurf, as they call it.
They obviously, people came from all over the place to gather together to back a candidate who is trying to reach out to Democrats, of course, to disaffected Republicans, to libertarians, and to everybody else, if he can, to try to say, hey, look, if you're not happy with the corporate candidates, and you're afraid of some of the candidates, whichever main party you might wish to point at, I point at both of them actually, then perhaps if you're not completely scared off by the fact that Bernie Sanders is a socialist, then you might consider some of the messages that he has.
Well, the only difference in my mind between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton is Bernie Sanders is a he's an admitted socialist. Hillary Clinton is just as much a socialist, and as a matter of fact, there's plenty of Republicans that are socialist in the respect that they're resigned to Obamacare, which is a socialist program. There isn't any debating that. But there's a lot of different aspects of our government now that are all socialist. So,
well, it's the Social Security system.
Right. Yeah. That is essentially a socialist program. I mean, really, it is. So I realize there's a lot of people that want, that to be familiar, us to become familiarized with that, or to have that be normalized. And I understand I'm not one of those people, but I get that there are. There's more here, and let
me ask you a quick question. Do you draw any parallels between some of the stands of Bernie Sanders and some of the stands of any of the leaders of the Republican Party?
Yeah, I do. Donald Trump has come out for single payer healthcare, and I had the clip queued up on YouTube behind Dale there, and I saw that there was hang on just a second here.
Behind me?
Yes, behind your yes, but there's windows here. Listen, there's a lot going on here, and so I
didn't know it was back there.
I have production on one side, and then I have Dale and web pages behind him and things like that. I probably need 2-3 more monitors here or something. But the point is that I thought, oh well, I can see that Facebook was open on that, and that sometimes makes noise during the program. So I killed that, and I went. I had the video all queued up, and I can't load it now; it'll destroy the program. So
please don't destroy the program.
Yes, it was a clip from a recent debate, and they asked Donald Trump about single payer healthcare, and he very matter of factly, he's not dancing around this, coming right out and saying that it works great in Canada and it works fantastic in Scotland and blah, 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 so he obviously thinks that is a good idea. Bernie Sanders also thinks it's a good idea. So there's simpatico on this point.
That's kind of interesting. Now, we don't do national news on our show because we think that there's plenty of that. And you can see that Sunday morning if you want to watch the Sunday morning talk shows. But we do talk about the local version of what's happening sometimes on a national and state scale. And that's what this footage is about local people who are supporters of Bernie Sanders. Mike, play a little bit more, would you?
Okay.
Let's stop the TPP! Yay! You got the burn. We got the burn.
Yeah. Let's hear it for 15 when?
Now!
Let's see, what else? Who else is it?
15 now! 15 now! 15 now! 15 now! 15 now! 15 now!
Okay, so it seems a little strange that they're chanting for 2015 now. They're a little behind.
Yes, that's right. Sometimes. No, I'm not going to go there.
Oh, I know where you were going, and everybody in the audience knows where you're going. Some of the people in Cave Junction might know where you're going.
Yes.
Well. They're just turning out a little bit late for this election. Yeah. Well, of course, they're talking about the minimum wage and raising the minimum wage. They talked about TPP. You want to talk a little bit about that, Mike?
No, because you know what? To be honest, I don't know a great deal about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's a trade, treaty or deal that's being worked on right now. And
what does Donald Trump think about the TPP?
Good question. I don't know.
I think that they have now. I'm not sure. Oh, what a great way to get email, Mike. I believe that they may have a similar stand on this.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. There's the email address in case you want to educate us or read us the riot act. Here's the problem: is we're steeped in local politics. I used to be a national politics only guy up until really only a couple of years ago, and since following the stuff here, I got nothing else. I don't have any time for it. We do a show every day. How am I supposed to pay attention to what's going on in the rest of the world? I probably should be up on this TPP thing, but I realize that my knowledge of it is probably not going to make a whole lot of difference in the decision making process of the people who are in charge of either putting this through or shooting it down.
So. Well, I think you're right about that. And the other thing is, there's lots of places. You've got them all over the dial. Do we still have dials? I don't think so, but you've got it all over the place where you can go look at national and international politics, politics of Mexico. Now, where are you going to get your local political news on a daily basis? There's only one place.
There's only one place. There's only one place.
Yeah, I want to thank God for that. What I mean is.
Yes. You know what? There was a whole bunch of clips here, and about an hour ago, I was vetting this footage to find out, okay, what are we going to use? And I set up a lot of it to be used. I have no idea what is upcoming in a lot of these clips. Some of it I have some inkling, but I would take the clip and then cue it to a particular spot so that when we play it, it's starting in a particular area for that clip. But then there's, 15, 20 clips here. So,
well, let's just do a smorgasbord of
we're on
levy proposals. No, wait, that's another story. We'll just take a look. It's just a Saturday night surprise. That's what it is. It's an adventure every time with this show,
and we're all on it together.
Boy, we're gonna sing a song later.
Yay!
Burning now! Burning now! Burning now! Burning now! Burning now! Burning now!
It just sort of fades out. That's great.
Yeah, as they were going past this one guy there, I'm going, this guy, it's burning now. Burning out. It's like zombie style. I hope I'm not offending too many people.
No, but
obviously Bernie Sanders not my guy.
But that's funny, and it doesn't matter if it's for Keith Heck or Bernie Sanders, because Keith Heck used to be a socialist. Yeah, I'm not making that up. It's true.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And this is something, I mean, whenever Dale and I have talked about this is the one thing that seems really odd, is that it's one of the things that seems really odd is he comes home from being in the service in the mid-60s, comes home and becomes a socialist almost instantly. How does that happen? Like, I really I really thought that the Vietnam War should have, I really sympathize with the other side or something. I don't know. I mean, what is that?
Some of it might be the reason he went into the Marine Corps in the first place, because it was either that or a kind of a juvenile prison. It was part of a deal. The way he explains it, it was part of a deal where the judge says you've got two choices.
Oh, wow. That's deeper than I have heard before. Yeah. So well, I knew guys that I went to high school with that the judge made a deal with them. Either you join the service or you do time, and they joined the service. And you know what? For those people, it was actually the best thing for them. Actually, one guy got thrown out of the service after about a year, but the other two guys that I know, they did pretty well. They came out the other side, upstanding people. So,
and then Keith got thrown out of a that group that's with Damon Mancuso. It was the John Birch Society. He had gone to go check out to see what they were like, and they threw him out, according to Keith. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's either good or bad, depending on what you think of the John Birch Society. To be honest, I don't know really a whole lot about the John Birch Society, although I know that it is a right of center group.
Right of center is right, especially back in the mid-'60s. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
More footage from this rally?
Yes. Okay. All right. And I believe this one is going to be, somebody giving a little speech here. So.
I don't think I need that.
Lara.
Can you guys hear me? So actually, I'm not a student. My husband is, but I've been a teacher for many years. I taught outdoor education and social studies at the middle and high school level. My husband's now at school at SOU because he's been a special ed teacher for 17 years and he had to quit because we had this little guy and he never came home because the world of teaching is crazy. So all to say, we believe in education and we believe that it is just a right in this country that every single person should be able to go to school, and that no matter what neighborhood you come from, you should have a decent school with books like everybody else in the country, and heat, and schools that have decent water to drink and aren't crumbling, and teachers that get paid a living wage and aren't overworked. And that's one of the reasons that we're really passionate about Bernie. We're also really passionate about, I'm going to put him down so whoever gets to catch him. Yes.
I'm licensed daycare.
Oh, good. Great. Thank you. He won't go too far. Bernie Sanders is the only candidate that believes that every single person should be able to go to school, to college, get a college degree, and not have to pay for it. I think that's really important. There are plenty of other countries that do this. Bernie's got a great idea of how to pay for it, and it's one of the reasons we're supporting him. So the other thing is, Bernie needs young people to vote. If you go to SOU, if you know someone who goes to SOU, if you go to RCC in Medford and Grants Pass, we need to get to that population of people, and we need to tell them that for the first time in as long as we can remember in this country, we have a candidate that is working for those people. He's working for the young people. He's working for kids this age, kids through college, and we got to get those folks voting, because they're the people that are really going to win it for Bernie, and they're the people that should be able to stand up and vote for a candidate who cares about them. So that's what I got.
It's over there. That's the kind of leaders. Thank you.
Okay.
I feel like I'm getting a real feeling for what this rally was about. I think we're getting a good flavor of what it was.
Oh, clearly. I mean, this is as good as going there. I think probably better.
Well, it's not
right. Yeah, that's probably true. I think there's a disconnect, and it bothers me that people that are teachers don't understand economics and are apparently, teaching our children, because you cannot pay, especially at the tuition rates of today. We cannot have a socialized college funding system. It's just not going to work. Listen, we're deep enough in debt as it is, so we can't afford that. That's number one. And the idea that somehow all these 1%ers are just going to shell out and with the tremendous amount of money. Listen, they've done studies that if you took all of the 1%ers money, all of it, it wouldn't cover, it wouldn't hardly cover anything. I mean, it's pointless. If you want to destroy the economy, that's what you do. Take all the 1%ers money, or even the top 50%. You take all their money. It doesn't pay for the programs that they want to fund. So the other thing is where are the schools where they don't have heat in the school? I want to know where this is happening, that are short funding schools somewhere, because it ain't happening in our county. And they don't have water to drink. That is really disturbing. We should be concerned about schools that don't have water.
Well, Viken was out there, and I'm wondering if he and Lori talked to them about arsenic in that water. You know, the other thing is that I went to school. Nobody's ever asked me about the degrees I've had, or, you know, what kind of grades you got, or any other thing. I wouldn't have been able to go if I hadn't been on a full ride scholarship for that, because of my grades. My grades were the highest. Big deal. But I could have gone through for a PhD, but since coming out of there, I don't know anybody. There's nobody at all that I went to school with in the same areas, and I had a double major, that ended up working in that industry or those groups. None, zero. So it's a valuable thing, obviously, to have an education, but the debt that you incur from that and the value that it has for you later is questionable, especially in an area such as ours.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't believe that anybody, listen, I really want to know if you know somebody with a gender studies degree who is working somehow in that field.
For anyone but government.
Yeah, for anyone. Yeah, right. Exactly. Maybe there are somebody in government with gender studies degrees that are working, but generally speaking, you're not going to get a job doing that. And the idea that you would make your parents pay for that and you select that course as something to study shows not a whole lot of respect for your parents, or your parents just don't have enough sense to steer you in a better direction than that. But
well, I did some of those studies when I was at university, and homework was killer, buddy.
Okay, I don't even want to know what that's about.
Well, but none of it was a classroom experience, well, except for once. But yeah, that's another story.
Okay, let's see here. Let's take a look at the next clip.
So I'm excited to be out here, and I hope everyone else is extremely excited to be out here. What I'm sure most of you recently encountered the report that said that out of half of the country holds the same amount of wealth as the top 62 people, not country, world. Half of the world has the same amount of wealth as the top 62 people in the world. How did we get to a point where we had such extreme wealth inequality? Reagan is a huge part of it. Reagan represents what we have, which is a system of global economics which inherently says that everybody's equal, but some people are more equal than others. Right now, in this world and in this situation, that system is driven by the United States of America and by our political decisions. It is mainly driven by the global elite. The people are not with that. What Bernie Sanders is offering us is a situation in which we can be represented by the president of this country. But in addition to that, we still need action. The president cannot on his own just make decisions and change the entire system. We need a full movement, as Bernie Sanders has been saying for a very long time. And one of those big things that we need to be doing is ending wealth inequality in the US, or at least cutting down on it. And one of the ways that we can do that is we can increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So right now I've been working with 15 now on and off for about 2 years. And it is happening right here in Oregon right now. We have a ballot measure, we'll have the signatures, and we'll be voting on it by the next time that we get our ballot. So I'm just hoping everyone votes for that, everyone's down with that, and rock on, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, you know, maybe if this guy gets a $15 an hour job, he can buy himself some new pants.
You know, it might be style, but Mike, can you get us a still of that guy with his pants and the shirt and all the rest of that?
Oh, sure. As a matter of fact, a little bit later, Viken does a one-on-one with him that I think is pretty good.
Okay, so just pull up a still of him. I just got a quick little thing to say.
Yeah, right here. Hang on a second. All right.
Happening right here.
Yeah. You know, in looking at this, for some of the history fans, I'm just flashing back to not the cars in the background, and maybe not necessarily the way everybody's dressed. Doesn't it look like 1917 to you?
1917?
Yeah, well, this guy in 1917 Russia.
Oh, yes, that could be. Yes. You know, it's disturbing to me, this talk of wealth inequality and like that's an issue. I personally, you know, there's a lot of people that have a lot more money than I do. I never am concerned. I don't care that Bill Gates has more money than, you know, millions of people.
Peru.
It doesn't bother me. You know what? Listen, that guy brought more benefit to our life. We're doing this program on the stuff that and the software that he came up with. And his company made it all happen. And so that's fine with me. And, you know, Steve Jobs with Macs and stuff too. I think it's totally fine that they're swimming in dollars. And you know what that means? It means we live in a country where if I have a really good idea and I work harder than anybody else, I can benefit, and there's no limitation to that benefit. I can, you know what? And I'll tell you what, those people, they give more money in charitable donations than anybody. Bill Gates gives away hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And so did Steve Jobs when he was alive. And there's a lot of these people that make a lot of money that give away a lot of their money, and they wouldn't have that money to give away if it wasn't for the fact that they benefited from business. And, you know, a $15 an hour job, here's one thing that you can guarantee is going to happen with a mandated $15
students
minimum.
will be out. They won't be able to hire people in high school.
Well, you're going to lose. You're going to lose a lot of. You're going to lose a lot of jobs. You're going to lose a lot of places to do business. Walmart is closing 150 something stores. Do you think that they're doing that because the economy is kicking butt? Do you think that they're doing that because they want to get back at people who are trying to get a minimum wage raised to $15 an hour? They don't want to close stores. They want to continue doing business. But right now, the economy is not as rosy as some would have us believe.
Well, the other thing in looking at this guy's picture here is that there were, back in 1917, there were some high hopes for replacing the monarchy, which was obviously, you know, living off of everybody. Talk about an imperial attitude.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly.
Replacing that with people being put at the top. You know, I've said that kind of thing, that people should be more important than you know, chosen, honored chosen ones that are chosen to rule us kind of stuff. And there were some good ideas. The problem was that it never really ended up being most of those good ideas. It ended up being some other kind of oligarchy
Listen, it was a lie, just strictly for the purpose of using people to seize power on your behalf. And, they were despotic rulers far worse than the czars.
They were in many ways. Now, this guy is right also, is he says, well, Bernie says that we're going to need to, he can't do it all as president. He's going to need to change all kinds of things. That infrastructure is not there. And now Bernie Sanders, the election of that guy would definitely throw a monkey wrench into the whole thing about corporate ownership of our government. Well, that's for sure. Okay. But as far as getting things done, you think that Obama has problems getting things done? Yeah. Imagine what would happen if you were on the outs with everybody.
Yeah, I tend to think that, well, but here's the thing: he wouldn't be on the outs with everybody.
You don't think so?
Listen, no, I think the hammock generation is at its peak so far, and you have more of these people out there now than have ever existed before in this country, and so you're going to have I mean, how do you explain the fact that right now, I mean, he is literally mopping the floor with Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire right now.
Yeah, but Simon Hare mopped the floor many times with what was his opponent's name? So bad I can't remember. The only reason that Simon Hare could be voted back in is because his opponent was Mark Gatlin.
Okay.
So which of these two bad alternatives are you going to choose?
Right. I think though that well, and New Hampshire's kind of like Ashland, it's kind of weird that way.
It is.
So I don't know that it's necessarily an indicator, but I know that he's doing pretty well, a lot better than they expected in Iowa right now.
Isn't that interesting? Now, we don't do national politics, but it is. And so there's now a start to redefine, well, Iowa and New Hampshire don't mean what they used to. Really? Yeah. Now, why would you think they would say that? Because they think that they're not going to do so well there.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly it. Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah, I had a brief little lock up there. Yeah, exactly.
We have another indicative clip from this, and then we're done.
Oh, really? Has it been that long already?
Yeah, can you believe it? Yeah.
Let me just find one in here.
We might get 2 clips in. I'm hoping that you guys are finding this interesting. I think it's interesting I'm getting, I believe, a real flavor for the kind of rally that this was.
Well, and let's get the brief little piece from the proletariat guy there.
Now this is today. This just happened today.
This is today. All right. Beacon asked him a question. I forget which one this is, but here you go.
Why Bernie instead of Hillary?
Why Bernie instead of Hillary?
I don't think that's actually that tough of a question. Right now, Hillary has proven that, first of all, her biggest funder is Goldman Sachs, or one of her biggest funders. She's being funded by Wall Street corporations, by lawyers, and by investors. And those are all of her major funders. And she is going to serve the interests of the people who are funding her. She has historically switched around on issues like the TPP. She has a lower minimum wage that she's proposing, and we know that it's very unlikely that she will push it hard. She has proven that her interests are not with the people in the way that Bernie's interests are with the people. Yes.
Do you think that Bernie can beat Donald Trump?
Yes. And I think polls actually are showing that right now. As far as what? So first of all, Bernie has a history in general of honesty. He has an actual political history, which Trump doesn't have. If Trump gets elected as a nominee for the Republicans, my belief is that the attack campaign that will be run against him will be extremely effective. Trump has piles of dirt. Trump is a very not highly effective businessman. He was born into wealth, and he was able to utilize that wealth to continue to gain more wealth. But he does not have a history of like high success in his business. He doesn't have a history of standing in general in political campaigns on a direct line. Trump has done things like, for example, funding Hillary Clinton's campaign. So when that dirt is dug up, the chances that Trump could actually win a campaign when the entire world is watching campaign ads against him rather than the few people who are involved in like the early primaries are extremely low, I believe. And I think that the Republicans know that as well. And that is why there is a huge move, a huge push in the Republican Party itself to keep Trump from winning.
Let's say Bernie.
Okay, I'll cut it. There's not really that much left. But that, I thought the guy singing, fit in perfect with that at the end there. A very interesting and a good example of how, when we're deep into something, we're sucking the Kool-Aid up of whatever candidate we happen to be for, that we somehow glaze over. I don't think that Bernie Sanders would really I don't think he would have a chance against Donald Trump. And what he said there about Donald Trump not being able to make money. Listen, he got a loan from his father. It wasn't a gift. He got a loan from his father for $1 million, and he turned that into multi-billions. So to say that the guy doesn't have business acumen, that's just
I was
goofy.
surprised when this fellow said that Hillary Clinton's been pushing for a lower minimum wage. Yes? I don't recall that.
No, I think what he meant, if I may interpret,
a lower raise of the minimum wage.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Oh well, all right.
I had to tap into the burn there for a second too.
Oh, okay, but to bring it back home here, imagine that there was. This is something with which Mike is familiar. Imagine if there was a Grants Pass rally for Ted Cruz. Just of Grants Pass people, nobody from the Cruz campaign, well, except local people, or if there was one for Donald Trump, or if there was one for Sarah Palin, or whatever. My guess would be that the people might be dressed a little differently, and there might not be somebody there strumming a guitar, but from what we've seen of some of the events that we've gone to, people would still be, yeah, go, and kind of yelling, and their voices kind of breaking. I don't think that the tenor of it, or even the number of people, you might disagree, would be terribly different than what we just saw.
I think you're probably right about that. And I don't know, was this in Ashland or Medford? I think it was in Medford.
It was in Medford. You could see Central Avenue was
gotcha. Okay,
right,
sure.
Now there are going to be people. Oh, you don't understand why 10,000 people would show up if it was done. No, I don't. Honestly,
I don't think so.
No, I don't think.
Well, maybe if Donald Trump showed up. Or
well, yes. I mean, we would be there. All the media would.
Yes.
Forget the media, but there's all kinds of people who would be there. But this is just a bunch of people who feel that they've got something in common with this guy. Yeah, and some of them, according to Viken and talking to him, some of them seem to be libertarians and some seem to be Democrats. And I don't know if there were any Republicans there, disaffected Republicans, perhaps. There's a lot of that going around, and I wonder why. And they're kind of looking around for some kind of alternative to maybe a person that's not in the back pocket of banks.
The weird thing about that is that the fact that there are crony deals with banks and stuff. There isn't any question about that. I have no debate about that whatsoever. But the bottom line is that they're not I'm far more fearful of the government than I am of a bank having some sort of a crony deal.
You see a difference between the government and the bank then? Okay.
Yes, I do, because the government can come take my money at the point of a gun. The bank can't do that.
Well, a bank
And-
can ask the sheriff to come and take it because they're foreclosing on your home.
Right, but why did I not pay my mortgage? You know, I mean, this is silly, the idea, and all of these, you know, the massive amount of foreclosures that took place in the past
Predatory
few years.
lending practices.
Yeah, well, predatory lending practice. Really, do you not read the contract? Hello, it says you got to pay your mortgage. You know, and you know, you don't overextend yourself, for crying out loud. Don't be stupid when you're going out to buy a house. Look at your job, do a little bit of math, and discover what it is that you can actually afford. The problem is that they were just giving out money willy-nilly to everybody.
And they were doing it to people that were low information borrowers.
Okay, listen, buyer beware, for crying out
that's
loud.
True enough.
Were we supposed to babysit everybody and make sure?
No, it's economic
Well,
Darwinism. Yep.
Yes, exactly. And so bottom line, and it's probably alienated some people who got foreclosed on. So I'm sorry you're no good with money. That's but the point is that the banks are not your biggest problem. The biggest problem that is a potential issue is government and the policies that they enact, and your own motivation.
And now we're talking then about political Darwinism, and you know, if you're a low information voter as opposed to a low information borrower, then you end up with the lemons that we've got now.
Right. To some degree.
Well, we tried to do something about that. At least I don't know, was there any other media there besides us? We're trying to tell you about things that are happening here.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. I can't believe we burned up that much time that quick, but
yeah.
Okay.
Well, feel the burn.
I'm feeling the burn.